Hello and welcome once again. Last week I'd just like to kind of like thank everyone who kind of like supported us last week. Um, we we got some bad news and some good news really. I'll tell you the good news is that um, hopefully we'll be sending off 4 more people to rehab when everything opens. That is. Um, 2 people actually kind of like went into hospital and passed away um, through obesity and stuff like that. So who I was supporting for a long time. And one of my people who used to help me out quite a bit, sponsor and everything, is no longer going to be sponsoring the complete thing. So anybody out there who can help out with doing a sponsor, I think it's about what we do is we look for a sponsor to sponsor our program here, and it's only £25 a year. I know it £25 is £25, but at the end of the day, it's just sponsoring our to keep it on for another year. So that's that for that. Also, before I go anywhere else, the charity do that we're supposed to be raising for Mind will definitely be on for Easter either way anyway if this is no longer going. But so we'll still be doing that. We've got around about 16 acts at the moment who wants to take part, who doing it for free of charge, and we're raising for Mind what we did last year, so we're going to do it for this year. And that's all what I have to say. On Monday I had my jab, which really I was over the moon about. I was really over the moon about that because I was quite worried about it. But I'm okay. Just got a bit of a bruise on my arm, but that's it. Anyway, I've got Duncan back tonight. Hello, Duncan. How are you?
Hey, Steve. Good. Yeah. Sounds like you've had a tough week.
It's been a really tough week. Yeah, we've been trying to kind of like, people promise things and they don't come up with, that. But this is life. It happens, and it's hey-oh. We just got to keep going. We open quite a lot of people, and what happens is people come along and say, okay, we'll help you, and but they don't, and one business that we were supporting, we were advertising them quite a bit, and they got a lot of work from it and everything, but it was not their fault. They got a lot of work going, but because of the coronavirus, they folded up their business, and that's left us in a bind. So, but we're proud and hoping that someone will come along.
One door closes, and all of that.
Yes, you never know. Anyway, we were talking about last week about what you do in the schools and everything about depression, helping the children out in the schools and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, so what I want to talk about is about the kind of the actual mental illness of how they're coping at the moment while they're not at school, or it's like half term now. They're even off. They're going to be off now for half term again. So this year and last year, really, they took a lot of time off, didn't they?
Really odd time right now. So thank you for having me back and sort of continuing to talk about, kids. As you know, the children is probably 95% of our work, and at the moment, they're struggling. They're struggling because everybody expected to go back to school in January, and everybody was kind of keyed into that and focused. And then all of a sudden that was taken away. So there was an element of momentum that was taken away from the kids. And it's easy for young people to get resentful, despite the fact that we all think as adults, oh, I bet they'd love to have time off from school. Actually, that's not the case at all. You're absolutely right. We're coming up to half term for the majority of the UK next week. And certainly the topic of conversation this week with kids has been how to make sure next week can be a memorable time for them. You know, usually Thursday, Friday, all the kids would be kind of hyped and really excited about, you know, having that week off. But right now it just feels a bit empty for them, and they don't know how to deal with that. So we've been working quite a lot on planning each day and making the best of the situation, so they can look back this time next week and go, yeah, it was a week that I had off, and it was a break from school, and it was beneficial for me, and it does feel different, and that's really important. One thing that I perhaps had underestimated or not considered was, you know, young people are so much more connected than a generation ago or even 10 years ago. And as adults, we have this perception that kids are on the phone all the time. And to an extent, that's true. They've got the phone, they've got, you know, tablets and computers to keep up to date with each other. But what they're finding now is they're running out of conversation. They're running out of things to say to people, and that's causing quite a bit of anxiety as to, well, don't you want to talk to me anymore? And then, are you not my friend anymore because you haven't texted me 2 times today? And you know, this is something that we haven't seen before, which is quite unique. So all these kids have never been so well connected, yet in actual fact there's a divide that's growing further and further between them because they've just exhausted those conversations.
They're missing out on their education, surely.
Yeah, I'm not a teacher, and my view when I work in schools, and I'm sure there'll be some teachers who will criticize me for saying this, but I say concentrate and focus on what you are good at and spread your time into the sessions that you think you're going to get the higher grades from. So if you're into art, concentrate in the art, you know, lose yourself in it. And if you were going to get a C, but actually you can spend a bit more time, but you think you can then get a B or an A, something's got to give. You know, get rid of one of the lessons that you're not doing very well in and focus on that. I think it's best to focus on what you're good at. And what a lot of kids are finding at the moment is they're working from home and they haven't got that stimulation of having somebody physically watching over them, and that's quite alien, particularly for somebody who's in sort of year 7, who's, you know, 11 or 12 years old.
Yeah.
To work with that autonomy is particularly difficult, and combined with that the fact that the 2 biggest areas of work in terms of their work environment will either be the kitchen table or will be a desk in their bedroom. 2 things kind of become apparent there. We are losing a sense of how important it is as a family to eat together because the table is full. Parents are doing their work on the table and kids are doing their work on the table. And the last thing you want to do is to be packing up and clearing down every night when you've got to come back to it.
Yeah.
I certainly don't clear down my desk. I leave everything ready so I can come back. And that's we're losing out. We're losing
But
out.
Duncan, about like getting everybody getting around. I'm all for the family about getting together and having a meal at the table, right thing to do. But that's got, surely, most people now rather kind of like sit next to the telly with a plate of something and just watch the telly
You're
instead of,
absolutely right.
you know.
Absolutely. And ordinarily, that's the routine that a lot of people get into. And it's almost going full circle in the sense that actually we now need to get back to that family time because we are becoming so fragmented. Mum and dad are doing their thing, older sibling or younger sibling are doing their thing. So autonomy is very prevalent in the day, and kids can then feel disconnected. So I'm encouraging people to, next week, clear away the table, have some meals together, and clear away the bedroom and just have your bedroom as a bedroom next week rather than this hybrid area where you're doing work. And this is really confusing for children because they're not used to working in the bedroom. Their bedroom's their bedroom. It's where they draw and play Lego and Snapchat their friends. It's not an area that feels particularly comfortable for them to be educating themselves, and it is educating themselves because a lot of schools are not doing live lessons, and that's through no fault of the system. There's a lot going on in schools right now, and not every school can provide a live education system. I see kids who are having both, and surprisingly, all the kids that I've seen this week have all said, you know what, I just can't wait to get back into the classroom. They want to have a teacher watching over them. They want to be in a classroom environment with other people. The luxury, I guess, of being at home, or the excitement of being at home, has really worn off now.
Hmm, yeah. The trouble is, so we live in a world now where we don't know what's going on. The children are probably thinking, I want to get back to school because I want to see my friends and and kind of like get back to a norm. They're fed up being at home with mum or dad, or some children are thinking, oh yeah, I don't mind being home. You carry on.
Yeah, absolutely. There's uh, a, a difficulty arising with particularly the younger children, so the year sevens. They're at home all the time. They're seeing their parents at home, and they're seeing their parents stressed in a stressed way, a work environment that they haven't seen their parents. They're not familiar with seeing their parents like that. And that can be quite frightening. It can be quite alienating. Um, and I'm doing a lot of mediation right now with children and parents. So children are saying, I don't like the situation we're faced with. They're feeling claustrophobic. Um, they are not talking to the peers, so they're feeling trapped. But they're not having this conversation with mum or dad because during the day, mum and dad are at work, so they're not
Mm,
as accessible as they would be, and the boundaries are really blurred. So when they want mum or dad, or when they have a question, or when they're just feeling, pretty low, then not having the confidence to say to mum and dad, you know what, can I just sit down and have this conversation? Because actually, it might not be appropriate. And, mum and dad might brush them off. Not now because I'm on a conference call, or not
mm,
now because I'm busy, you need to crack on, kind of thing. And that's causing quite a few problems as well. So, in terms of mental health, there's lots of new things happening with children that we haven't seen before, new dynamics, and It's very interesting to see. And the biggest thing I'm saying to parents right now is just take a moment, stop, take a breath. And, you know, it's very easy to go, yeah, I'm on a Zoom call right now, but then make time after that, just 5 minutes. We take a break, usually as adults, to grab a coffee or a bite to eat or whatever. Take a break and make sure you reconnect with your children, because they're feeling lost. They haven't got their friends, as we've talked about, and almost they feel like they haven't got their parents during the day, and that's
Yeah,
really odd.
yeah, yeah. I know. It's so difficult. So in your business, then, how do you deal with the children that's either been in kind of like what can I say, who's actually it's not coping, say.
There's no book that we pick off the shelf and go, step one in adolescent counselling is do this. Uh, to start off with, it's really about just building that relationship and getting their confidence so that they can then say, I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable with this, and we can explore it. But one thing that we do work on, self-worth, really important. That sort of flame inside you that gives you the confidence. And that maybe, the confidence to say to mum or dad, do you mind if I just have 5 minutes?
Mm.
But also that confidence to face your friends and say, is everything all right? Are you feeling okay right now? Because I'm not feeling okay. And I wonder if we can have that conversation. We talk
Yeah.
about authenticity. Authentic you is really important. So every young person understands that they plug in their phone once a month and they get an update. And what we say is, coming into our practice is just that. Every week we have that update. We give them that version 2.0 to make them feel better, or help them approach whatever they're struggling with, whatever the frustration is. Um, it's it's about giving them the confidence in themselves, because they haven't got it. They haven't learned that yet. Or maybe,
Mm.
particularly again for the younger kids who've only had 2.5 months of being at big school, as it were,
Yeah, yeah,
they've just got their head round it and they've just found their place in the peer group. And then all of a sudden that's been taken away. So their sense of authority and where they fit in the peer group or in society within the
yeah.
school kind of thing is lost. So we have to rebuild that up with some confidence that, they're important, their feelings are important, and, what's going on. Nobody has the answer. We can't say in 3 weeks' time we're going to be back to school. What we say is, let's not worry about what's happening in 4 weeks' time. Let's worry about today, tomorrow.
Mm.
Today we've been talking about having a good weekend and having a good week next week, so we can look
Mm.
back and go, yeah, it was a good one. But more importantly, giving them the opportunity and the skills to be able to switch off, so that when they come back the following Monday, they feel like they're refreshed and they can get their heads back into the learning, which is ultimately, what I'm paid to do by these schools, is to make sure that these kids are in the best possible position they can be, so that they can crack on with their education.
Good. I'll tell you what, I want to play this video for a sec, and we'll be back after this.
10 children have a mental health condition, and each one is fighting their own battle.
Instead of learning how to talk about it, we use words that can make a child feel
Weak, vulnerable,
useless,
ignored. What you should be doing is encouraging us to be ourselves.
I'm good at football.
I'm good at swimming. I'm good at singing.
I'm really good at swimming and singing and more stuff.
1 in 5 11-year-olds in the UK have suffered with a mental health issue at some point in their lives.
That's around 140,000 children.
anxiety,
Depression,
Self-harm.
Eating disorders.
3 children in every classroom are facing a situation that could change their life forever.
bullying,
bereavement,
addiction.
family breakdown.
Each of these experiences is more common than you think.
one child in every classroom has lost a parent or a sibling.
And even if our kids do want to talk about it, we're the ones who shy away.
Nearly a third of parents would feel embarrassed if their kids wanted counselling in school.
But there is a solution, and it starts with us.
we need to get better at talking about mental health. A few short phrases can make a big difference to each young child.
How are you?
How did that make you feel?
Tell me something you found hard today.
Is everything okay?
Not only will this help us start the right type of conversation, it will also help us focus on the things that really matter.
I want to be a police officer when I grow up.
I'd like to be a football player.
I want to be a vet and a singer.
I want to be a scuba diver.
Young minds matter.
Young minds matter.
Young minds matter.
Young minds matter.
There you go.
Brilliant.
You know, and why I showed that video is because every one of them, some time in their life, has been through tragic. Honestly, every one of them has been through some trauma, and now now they're getting over it. And now they're having their dream, saying, I want to be a footballer. When I was younger, I wanted to be a professional footballer, but it didn't make out. But, we all got dreams. And I said to people, today, it's a new day. That's what I said to people.
That's really interesting. I've written a couple of words down. Empowerment, I've written down, and that's really important. I have had some conversations this week. Something I say regularly in a session is, what's your dream? Chase your dream. Children are losing the ability to dream and to think, laterally and go, actually, I want to do this. And the amount of kids that we say, where do you want to be in life? What do you want to do? And they're struggling just to live from day to day and get their head around what's happening from day to day. So the thought of what's, what they could be doing is quite alien. And actually, on one hand, I'm saying to kids, don't think about what's at the end of next week. But also, I'm then saying, but think about the dream. Now. Yeah. One thing that's really interesting that video pointed out, it said adults shy away. If you have a look at active listening therapies on Facebook, and Think Duncan on Facebook, actually, yesterday I posted a video about 5 steps on how to make next week as amazing as it can be under the circumstances. And my last point was to parents to say, put yourself in a position that you can have those difficult conversations with your children. Make time to say, are you okay? Or make time to say, look, we've just done 6 weeks at school. It's been a bit of a mush, and the weeks and the days are rolling into one. But let's take some time out as a family now. Let's regroup. You haven't got school this week. But before we do that, let's talk about some feelings. Let's talk about how you are. And it can be a difficult conversation, particularly if you're then faced with difficult circumstances on the return. So it's really funny that you play that, because I'm really hammering out online at the moment.
Oh, sorry.
just no, I'm really hammering out. It was brilliant. The message that says you've got to make time. Got to make time for your kids. Absolutely hammering it out, because it's so important.
Am I a mind reader or what?
Possibly.
Yeah, it's funny. But the trouble is, though, we do need to make time for our children. And we do need to kind of like sit down with them sometimes and say, look, okay, I've been busy, I work, but I'm here for you, because you've got to make sure you give them that insurance that you're there, because sometimes they could turn around and go, oh well, you don't care, you're never here, or
Absolutely.
you're at
Absolutely.
work and everything. You know what I mean?
I'm a realist. I know that parents are struggling right now, and we've focused this predominantly on children right now, but actually parents will be struggling as well, because they'll be doing everything they can. Maybe they're smashing in the overtime because they're worried about how much they're going to get paid next month or whatever, or whether or not their job's actually going to be there in the next month. These are conversations we're having. So of course, on the flip side, parents don't really want to have those conversations because they don't want to let slip their concerns or anxieties. So it is tough for parents, and even as a counsellor myself. My wife's a counsellor, as you know. We're directors of the business together, and we have a son. We have a 10-year-old, and it's really easy when we're talking about the direction of the business and where which school are we going to approach next, or how are we going to put in place the work for next term. And our son will come and say, can we sit down and have some popcorn and just watch a video? It's really easy, and I've done it tonight and gone, just one moment, I'll go and put a video on, I'll be with you in a minute. And then you step back and go, I've just brushed him off. And that's the element of guilt that comes with that. I'm a
Yeah,
counsellor, I know how to deal with that, but it still happens. So anybody that's smashing out the time right now, I'm finding it really difficult, maybe won't have those thoughts and notions at the forefront of their mind, because maybe they're just so focused on doing what they're doing, which is in actual fact putting a roof over the family's head. And
yeah,
and that's really important. We mustn't forget that.
yeah. I'll tell you what, I've got another last video I want to show you, and you won't believe this, but there you go.
YouTube Mom wants to make sure you spend quality time with everyone. Joni Hilton joins us live with easy and creative ways to bring the whole family together again. Hey, Joni. Hey, Joni.
Hi, guys. It's wonderful to see you. I guess you've noticed my sign.
Yeah,
It's
family
pretty
is
big
everything.
in my house here. And it is. I just love my family, and I love promoting family and getting people to be close as a family, and I have a ton of great ways for you to do it. Searching your family history is really wonderful, too, so I'll talk about that as well. This is a jigsaw puzzle, obviously, and what is a fun idea, and I don't have one to show you, just this puzzle, but you can take a family photo, and it could be ancestors, or it could be a snapshot at your last reunion, or even a wedding picture, whatever, and make a puzzle. I mean, you don't make it, but you get a company to do it. And there are tons of drugstores and camera film developing places that can do this for you. Another great idea is if you have a family crest, do something with it. Either frame it and hang it on the wall, make stationery out of it. In this case, this is a needle-pointed pillow my mother-in-law made. And honestly and truly, one of the top, hottest hobbies in the country right now is genealogy. And there are so many websites, Ancestry.com and tons of others, that can help you do it really easily. You will be shocked when you type in your name, it spits out all this information about well, maybe not in your case, but in my case, bank robbers. And I have an ancestor in England, so notorious, a woman that her neighbors burnt an effigy to her. Now, if I were alive at the time, I'd be mortified, but I think it's hilarious now. It's fun to find these colorful characters. Okay, so you collect pictures, you write histories, keep file folders of censuses and birth records, get old journals if you can, and you can publish these things in a book for your family. And be sure to take all your old videos and Super 8s and everything and put them on DVDs. Just do it. Save up and just do it. You can also interview your relatives. There are lots of books that have prompts in them that help you interview your grandma or great-grandma. And at a craft store, you can find paper that you can iron a photo onto and then make t-shirts, or in this case, a pillow. And then take advantage of these kinds of books they have now to make a book of your family traditions. This is all the things we do at Christmas time. But if your family goes to Yosemite or Santa Cruz or somewhere every year, make a book about what makes your family have a good time together. And then I have even more ideas for you in the next segment.
Excellent. Oh, perfect. Okay, we'll check back in with you. Thank you. Thanks, Joni. Still ahead, a one-stop shop for
There you
all
go.
things fashion, new and...
So what I was showing that for is we all can make time for our family, whatever we can do. Oh, sorry. Hang on. Sorry. That was for somebody else. Yeah, we can all kind of like take time and for our family during these really bad times. But the trouble is, what we need to focus on really is, are we spending enough time with them, with our children? Because if we keep on missing, stages of our children's life, we are not kind of like, there's not going to be very much connection there, is it? You know what I mean?
It's balance. It's balance. From an adult perspective, the focus is probably, how am I going to pay next month's mortgage?
Yeah.
My adult clients, that's undoubtedly a focus of conversation that's really high on the agenda. So as a parent, lots of people are just focusing on work, and that's totally understandable. And it's very easy to think that because school is putting in place an education package, that children are being managed, as it were. But only a small proportion of kids are actually getting live tutoring. What a lot of children are getting is an email at the start of the day with key points of, this is, achievement. This is what we need to achieve today. And it's very much, here's a list of what we've got to do today. Go away, research it. And by the way, your deadline is, and you've got some homework, and you've got to motivate yourself. And, it's, the kids are on the road. They really are.
The trouble is, you see, they say they're supplying laptops. Yeah, that's fine for the kids and everything, about the laptops and everything. But the trouble is, though, what you've got to realise, it's nothing but like school, is it? Because some kids, they
Not at all.
love to go to school because they're missing their friends, family, and every friends. And it's and they don't want to be stuck in with their families all the time, or do they?
Let's take a worst case scenario, and this is an example. What about if a teenager was at home but had been emotionally bullied by a family member, or even sexually abused by a family member? I mean, we're talking extreme, but it does happen. The thought of being at home could be petrifying.
Oh yeah, of course.
But
yeah.
they haven't got the confidence or the authority in themselves to go, I need to talk about this. So there could be a lot of children at home in uncomfortable situations that the pastoral teams are unaware of, teachers are unaware of, counsellors are unaware of, and we're just assuming that the kids at home are okay, because a lot of the time we're not aware of things that are taking place, because things do happen behind closed doors, and it may take years for it to come to the fold.
So are you telling me now then, are you telling me that while these children are off school, that there is no, except for like on the internet, there is no kind of like contact with them at all. No one's keeping an eye on their welfare because we're going through bad times at the moment. So, as I keep mentioning all the time, so where they could be because of they're stuck in all the time. There could be violence in the family or something like that. So, surely, for God's sake, like they should have someone designated to the school,
Yeah.
such as yourself, checking on these children's welfare.
So, just to be clear, I can talk about the school environments that I work in and the hierarchy of control. Yes, I'm sort of like the second point of contact as a counsellor, and often I am told that I am, on occasions, the most secure relationship that a child has with an adult. We talked about that a few weeks ago. But just to assure you, and I'm sure that safeguarding will be in place in the other hundreds of thousands of schools throughout the UK, but in the schools that I'm accountable to, there are pastoral teams working frantically to make sure that kids and their welfare is okay. So the one particular
So
school that I work
how
with.
are they? How are they doing that? Oh,
Okay,
how are they?
so
It's not good enough. It's not good enough to be on the internet. I mean, why don't they? Are they going to their homes?
okay, so there are a number of things that the pastoral team can do, and that's keep in touch with the parents, keep in touch with the children. So there's a good idea of who are the vulnerable ones, and I'm talking not just about the people we do know are having difficulty, but you can tell the ones who are maybe introverts, who are not sort of giving us the full story. The pastoral team will keep in touch. Some are keeping in touch on a daily basis. Some are keeping in touch with parents. Don't forget, we've got social workers on the peripheral. We've got
Yeah,
community police officers on the
yeah,
peripheral.
yeah. But
But
yeah,
teachers will know. Kids have to log in
yeah,
each
yeah,
day, so we do know whether they're not participating, and then as soon as they don't participate, then that becomes a flag, and that becomes a telephone call, and then yeah,
yeah,
I will get a referral if a child is struggling.
yeah. My thing is like social services say. So say you had a child who was going through quite a bit, and social services, and you had to ring up, or somebody, teacher, had to ring up and say, oh, this child is being beaten or abused beyond closed doors, right? The trouble is, see, getting in contact with a social worker these days, it's like getting in contact with Neil Armstrong. You know what I mean? It's
There's a bit of an
true, isn't it?
ethical, yeah,
Come on,
absolutely.
it is true, isn't it?
They are so overstretched. There is not enough social workers in the world right now. There's a bit of an ethical issue in the sense that a child could disclose something horrific to me. And if they said to me, I don't need to do anything about it, I'm put in an ethical position. Now, if they are under a teenager, so year 11, I have to assess whether what they're saying is
It's true.
founded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to work my way through the relationship to ensure that I'm getting the correct story, because kids do fib
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or bend the truth. So I need to make an assessment and a judgment there. But with older teenagers, so arguably 15, 16, if they were to say, I don't need to do anything, I'm in a difficult position, because if
But in your job, then, if they told you something strictly and in confidence say, isn't it your job? You've got to weigh the situation and say, right, now, okay, fine. And if you think it's, oh, yes, it needs sorting out, don't you report it to the authorities?
In an ideal world, yeah, absolutely. It's down to me to build the confidence and talk through with the individual and say, we need to address this. And the first thing we will look at is safeguarding. And it comes down to, is the young person at harm to themselves or at harm to other people, or being put in severe danger just because somebody's being beaten, for example, or even sexually abused. I can't straight away phone up a social worker. I have to have the conversation with the individual and talk through and say to them the process that should happen, and the benefits that they will get by working with me, and then going back to the pastoral team. And maybe not, I mean, I say maybe not, I would never say exactly what has been disclosed. I can hint, I can say, and then we can raise a safeguarding issue, at which point maybe the police will be called, maybe a social worker will be called. But it's difficult.
It is difficult, yeah,
I'm
because
put between a rock and a hard surface
yeah,
many,
because
many times.
yeah, because if you report it, then the child will probably not trust you again, will they?
The trust is completely gone.
Yeah,
If I didn't say, this is what I'm going to do, it's
yeah,
about, with a child is ordinarily not going to disclose something of that nature until we've built the relationship. So by that point, I'm in a position where I can say, I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. And, I'm not just going to cut loose and, leave you with a police officer.
no.
We have to assess, by saying something, are the individuals concerned going to be placed in a worse situation?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Luckily, it's not a decision that I, as soon as I raise a safeguarding issue, it's not something I raise alone. It's something that I work with the schools with, and child exploitation, social workers, police, foster families, all sorts of other things fall into place.
yeah. Do you sometimes think, say, like someone's come up to you and they said, right, Duncan, or and they go, I've been sexually abused. I don't want you to go back to my parents, but I've got proof of it. I've got bruises and stuff like that. And and I don't know, they're in a really bad way. What do you do? What do you do? Because at
First
the
and
end of the
foremost,
yeah,
go on.
because number one, they're going to trust you. They're telling you everything they want to tell you, and secondly, they're thinking, well, you know, if he tells on me, this is what I'm trying to say, then they'll probably think, oh, I'm not going to trust this person again. You know what I mean?
Trust is the backbone of what I do, whether
Yeah.
it's with adults or whether it's with children or young people. And if somebody said, look, here's the bruises, here's the bruises, you can see that I've got them all over my body. But I don't want you to say anything. The first thing we would do is explore their fears, because we can't move forward until we've got their buy-in. We can't move forward until they understand the process of moving forward, or the importance of moving forward. You know, it's about talking through. They might not be aware of the law, so you know, if it is sexual abuse, you know, do they understand that? You know, or actually, on the flip side, they may understand that they might be putting the person who's, or the perpetrator, the person that's doing that to them, in a difficult position. You know, it doesn't take away the fact that these nasty things may be happening, but they still might love that person. So the confusion that goes with, you know, if I tell my counsellor and then my counsellor tells school, and then dad gets arrested, but you know, I don't live with mum anymore. What's going to happen to me? There are a whole host of questions that in a child's mind become dark questions and frightening questions, and that almost prohibits them from being open. And this is where we explore and you know, empower and give them the confidence to understand what's happening. And with an older student, you know, we'll talk about it in an adult and very level way. With a younger pupil, I'd be saying, you know, do you understand what's happening to you? Find out, you know, really how they feel, what they want out of the situation. It's quite conceivable, Steve, that actually they just want to externalize it. They don't want anything done about it. They just want somebody as an authority figure to know what's going on. And that's a terrible notion to carry when you're 11 years old.
It's so difficult, isn't it? Because you know, I want like your job. If you paid me £1,000, I wouldn't even take it, because you know, I don't know. If I see the trouble with me, I'm soft. If I see somebody like really in a bad way and they come to me in a bad way and say, "Look, I need your help, but I don't want you to tell anybody," then if they, you know, if they're really in a bad way, their eyes are bruised or whatever, you know, either they've got a choice. They either tell me so I can report it, or if they don't tell me, I'll still report it anyway. So, you know, because you gotta keep children safe, and you know, I'm sorry, but you know, it's them. You know, are, to me, they're first. You know what I mean? So we've got to protect our young, say.
Very much so. Very much so. It comes down to heart and mind. What rules? You know, is it your heart over your mind or your mind over your heart? And obviously, there's ethics. There's ethics. We contract with children, so we tell them from the start. You know, we contract with every client actually. Sometimes we do it weekly when they come in to refresh them as to the boundaries and what's happening, and so they know what to expect. But certainly, at the start of the relationship, it's very much instilled that if a child is at a danger to themselves, and by that I mean, you know, suicide, severe self-harm, you know, something like that, then it is a reactive chain that happens quite quickly. And as I've said before, it is really easy to go into parent mode. And of course, you just want to hug these kids. Of course you do. But you can't. You can't, because if you do it for one, you've got to do it for everyone. So you have to maintain that professional line that says, let's continue to ensure that ethical boundaries are met and the children understand that they can talk in confidence and genuinely, if they don't want anything, if they don't want something to go any further, there's an element of consideration that I have to respect your view, whether you're a young person or whether you're an adult. It's not always life or death, or one side of the law or the other. There are things that are really, really important to a child or a young person, and it might be sexuality. That's something that I wouldn't say is popular as a discussion point right now, but is key with young people. It's not anything that I could pick up the phone to a parent and say, just to let you know, I've had a conversation with your 11-year-old, and they're struggling with their bisexuality, because actually they might never have had that conversation with their parent, or the parent might not have had that conversation with the child, and that might go against a religious belief, for example, or a family belief, or there just might be embarrassment that goes with that, and I have to be there to metaphorically hold that child in high regard, to say, however you identify, it's really important. I'm not going to shut the door to the space and then go and tell your teacher that you're struggling with notions of sexuality. And with parents, there's it's uncomfortable talking to your children about sex at a young age. And they're really difficult conversations, and they might be conversations that parents are actually not willing to have yet.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, as always.
Next week, I really want to talk about what's the consequences where, we have to make that dreaded phone call to the parents.
Okay.
So I really want to have a look at that, because, sometimes, parents, when they get that dreaded phone call and say, look, either my partner, their father or mother has been in a situation where they're abusing them, and you've got to ring them up and kind of, if that's all right,
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're just going through stages, just helping people to kind of like open up and everything. But Duncan, thank you very much for
My pleasure.
Brilliant, and have a good weekend, and you take care. Too. Okay, that was Duncan, and brilliant, and really good. I tell you what, watch out for next week's episode, and also if you'd like to contact me, don't forget my email. If you want to contact Duncan, what is your email and your details?
Duncan at activelisteningtherapies.com.
There you go. So you've got his email, you've got everything, all the information. Please contact him. He knows quite a lot, doesn't he? Anyway, bye-bye now. Bye.